huge examples in Mythic RPG.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Wes with DM Tales here with episode 10 of Skipping Lunch. Once again, not at my typical Thursday afternoon show. And there's a reason for that, which you will be hearing about pretty soon because of my two guests are here. Wanted to make sure that you all got the information while there was still time to join in and have some fun. But before we get to them, just want to share a couple things that are going on in TTRPG land. First off, you've got a bunch of Kickstarters and one fundraiser. So let me get the right Kickstarter up on my screen really quick. And let's see what's going on here. And I don't have the right screen on there. Hold on one second, folks. Yay! Watch this. Technical difficulties are always fun. There we are. There's the first Kickstarter of the day. It is Dolmenwood, which is going like gangbusters right now. They've broken $1.1 million. We'll probably hit 1.2 at least with 11 days to go. So it's not really a big deal if you back or not because they're obviously funded. I'm kind of excited about this one because when it got announced, I was way far away from my next YouTube payout and was like, I'm not going to be able to back this, and I've been waiting for it for 2 years. And it looks like I'm just going to squeak in. So I'm kind of excited that I'll finally be able to get to do Dolmenwood because it just looks like a really cool setting. If you know any of the history, it was originally supposed to be kind of a pseudo-official game setting for Old School Essentials, and then Wizards of the Coast lost its collective mind, and now it's its own game. So always fun to create your competition. Also coming up, and I'm hoping to have this creator on the channel sometime in September, but this is by the Dungeon Maven, and this is actually an expansion for Shadow Dark called Unnatural Selection, which is a much more modest Kickstarter. They're at $66,000 so far, only $66,000. They have 24 days to go, and over 1,000 people have backed it, which is really cool. If you've seen anything about Shadow Dark, you can see that it's kind of a really interesting game because it takes more old school play style and add some newer school concepts into it. The coolest idea is that nobody has dark vision, which I just find absolutely fascinating. But this adds a whole bunch of new character classes and monsters and all sort of stuff. It looks really neat. And Dungeon Damsel did an incredible job emulating Shadow Dark's design so it fits in with the actual game. So it's something worth taking a look at. And then last but not least, I do want to point out that one of my patrons, David Ward, who does do some streaming on Twitch, really good guy. I met him on the Discord for, I can speak in public. I met him on the Discord for Scabbard, which is my campaign management tool of choice. We hit it off. He'll pop on to streams every now and again. I'll go on his. But he's a lot of fun. And he's raising money for St. Jude's. He's planning to do, I think it's a 5K or a 10K. And he's got some time to go through with that. Looking to raise $400. I've donated to him. I hope some other folks are able to do that as well. But it's just a good cause, and it's a good thing to support folks who are doing stuff that's not necessarily game related, but it's good stuff nonetheless. And this brings me up to my current guest that's around the world. I got another game that someone just sent me today. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it looks really interesting. Based on Indian mythos, not Native American, but actually Indian subcontinent. And that actually looks kind of cool. I can't wait to dig into that a little bit to share it with you in a spot here on Skipping Lunch. But my guest today, I wanted to bring on, and I wanted to get them on earlier in the week because their event is going to be ending relatively soon, and I would like for folks to be able to enjoy. This came out... I guess I got the message about 2 or 3 weeks ago about an event called Runejammer from someone who has follows my channel. We've been talking a little bit on Discord, and it's this huge index card RPG event. And I was like, I played a game last week and was like, hey, why don't you come on and we'll talk about this? And so not only is he on, but he brought a friend. And so I'd like to introduce you both to Phillip Dudley and Scott Merrill, both from Runejammer. You folks are on screen and can be heard now.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
So, how are you? And did I say Dave, did I say scabbard wrong? What did I say for my thing? I probably did. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking at the chat on my OBS window as I try to find my mouse cursor, which has completely gotten lost somewhere along the way. It's currently over on my iPad somehow. So that's interesting. Ah, there it's back. Live streams are fun, right? So you both are some of the minds behind Runejammer. And so for folks, one of you can take the pick. We haven't flipped a coin yet, but where did this come from and who wants to describe what exactly it is?
I can go first on that one.
Okay.
So I think it was probably a month and a half ago. It was whenever the Shadow Dark Game Jam on itch.io was going on.
Oh, okay.
And I happened to be on the Runejammer Discord at the time, and another member called Merlitron, who's one of our GMs, was saying, we should do a game jam for Index Card RPG and show people how cool it is. And I was like, shoot, let's do it. So then I got really excited and started messaging a bunch of people. And at first we were like, why don't we just run a game? And then some people would run a game, some people wouldn't. And I was like, no, I want it to be a scheduled time. So people can make time and show up and plan the event and like actually make it a con instead of just a pickup game. So wrangled some other people like Scott here, and he's down here for me. Wrangled up Scott, and just the amount of cool insight explosion. We got I know how to do website design, I know how to do planning, I know how to do forums, and I know how to do all sorts of stuff. And Scott Kane's Kiln, some people might have heard of him. Little C, or Chris. He's got another name on YouTube.
Kane's Killed actually had left a comment in the chat. So he said, woot, yay for Runejammer. So
and then we got like Monomakes, who makes all the dice. He made a bunch of dice for Viking Death Squad. He still makes dice. He's a big member in the Runejammer chat. And there's just a bunch of other people. I got a shout out to S5 Photog, or Andrew, who is like another main driver behind a lot of stuff, and he did a lot of it. I just happened to be the guy. Like, I took an idea and I made a project out of it, and I got other people to do work. That's
awesome. So, and all volunteer, right? It was just an all volunteer event.
Yeah, this is 100% all volunteer. I don't know if Kane, maybe he took it as a job, but this is all volunteer work, and just love for the game, love for the community, and wanting to show other people out there who may not have ever heard of anything besides the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and or just wanted to play something. And we were wanting to target non-community members already. And that's why we didn't tell everybody first, and we tried to put it out there first, and then bring it back into
that's cool stuff. No, really neat. And so it didn't, like, you didn't riff off of CypherCon at all. It was all from the game jam for Shadow Dark. That's kind of cool, because it was literally, I think CypherCon ended like 2 weeks ago or something. It wasn't that long ago. I love that. It was like the summer of everybody get online and play a game together. It was kind of cool. Scott, how did you jump into Runejammer?
Yeah, Phil was there, full of excitement and enthusiasm, saying, let's do this thing. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And he went off and made a private Discord, at the time, the Runehammer Discord was for patrons only for the
okay.
Patreon.
Okay.
And so, as Phil indicated, like we wanted to get more than just the people who were already playing in on this. And so, just scheduling games on Discord with a bunch of people who already were patrons was not the right jam. So
Gotcha.
he got a Discord put together for us. We hooked up with the guy who runs. There's a community Discord, an index card community for non-patrons.
Yep.
That again, that was previous before Hankrin opened up his Discord. So that guy Glock is in Germany. He hooked us up with all the channels and installed the Apollo scheduling bot and did all the things that we needed to make the plumbing work.
Okay.
And yeah, this is really just it was a great execution of the DIY attitude in spirits of index card RPG, because this was all like, hey, let's do the thing. Okay, cool. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to set up I bought a domain, and then Kane set up the link to the page, and then Andrew set up the form for the post survey to make sure that we're getting some data like, hey, was this should we do it again?
Okay.
And it's very grassroots, very ad hoc. It was a little consternation here and there. Like, are you doing the thing or am I doing the thing? Who said we're doing the thing? But it all worked out in the end. It's great.
So it's like, it's literally chaotic good.
Yeah.
It's about as genuine chaotic good as you can get. So how many GMs did you end up with playing or running games?
Shoot. Let me go look at the community real quick, because almost everybody in the community ended up playing members.
Okay.
There we go. We have 13 members of the community, so probably 13 GMs.
Okay, that's a lot, and you're running games. I mean, it's almost around the clock at this point. And where can people find the schedule, and when does it end? That's really something that people will definitely need to know.
So if you put into your web browser Rune, R-U-N-E, jammer.com, HTTP, the HTTPS doesn't work for me. It does for some people, but not for me. It should take you to the index card community content website, which it has a subpage for Runejammer, and it's got a whole bunch of great work that Kane and Andrew did, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a calendar there, and it should be in Google Calendar. You may have to log into Google or not, but then it'll link you back to the Discord where we're hosting the games and stuff.
And the calendar is set to Central U.S. time.
Yes.
So don't be
because
fooled.
I created it, and that's where I live, so that's where it defaulted to the time. Apollo, if you sign up and look at Apollo, it shows you in your current time.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And Apollo has worked
Discord.
really, 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 really well. So I had played a game with Merrill. We did the Pied Piper game. And I didn't think there was any games that I could be able to fit, because in my brain, they were all starting at 7:30. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to fly. And he was like, oh no, it's after bedtime, because it's 8:30 my time. I'm in. And that works. So don't get tripped up by thinking that the times are off. It's just Central Time, and do the conversion. You can use Google for that. And then what day does it end?
I think it ends on the. Hold on, let me look at
Wednesday.
the calendar before I lie to you. Wednesday, whatever Wednesday is, the 30th.
So you have today, tomorrow, and Wednesday in order to sign up for games. How many spots do you have open?
I was going to tell you I had a bunch of spots, but I last looked at it and they're all full. So
no way, they're all full?
Well, my games are.
Oh, your games are full. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just basically dumped on your thing. Nope, you can't come. Might as well turn it off. But there are a lot of spots still open and a lot of games.
Yes, we got plenty of spots. I'm sure if you post in the RJ General channel and be like, I want to run a game, but there's no games available, we got a bunch of people that just be like, shoot, let's do a game right now. I'm sure little Chris will be all over that.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what types? So first off, let's talk about not Runehammer, but Index Card RPG itself. I think some of the folks who are in chat here probably, at least I hope you guys who have subscribed to my channel have seen the review. But I think a lot of people probably seen the review. But for folks who haven't or are interested, what are some of the key features of Index Card RPG that makes it something they may want to hop on and try to learn a brand new system? Because that can be daunting for folks. What about this system is so cool?
For me, originally it was I get to use all my dice instead of just the D20. I got to use the whole gambit. But I really love the energy in the GM section, and then I love the simplicity of the adventure bullet points, and it gives me room to read an adventure in a setting and then still improvise it because I don't have to master someone else's thoughts or whatever kind of stuff they're trying to put into it.
Okay.
Um,
So it's
yeah,
much more
it
of a
gives me room to improvise.
bare bones framework. Scott, what are some of the things that people should go through? Sorry, I'll get you.
Yeah, for sure. The thing for me is, and this is not for everybody, and I fully understand. I think everybody understands, but it really streamlines and simplifies a lot of the stuff of a role playing game.
Okay.
The big difference for a lot of people they get hung up on initially is there's no sense of grid for movement. There are 3 zones. You're either close, you're either near someone, you're close. You're close to them. You're right next to the door. They're near to you, a couple steps away, up maybe 20, 30 feet if you want to go hardcore math with measurements, or they're far away. And we don't worry too much about, oh no, that spell's got a 30-foot range and that person is standing 32 feet away. You can't hit them. Like we don't get bogged down in that.
And what is the real world object that you're supposed to use to measure near?
A banana.
There you go. It's a banana away.
Yeah, it's a banana. Yeah. I've seen people do like your fist or your fingers and then this, like this is near, this is far. I've seen a variety of different things there. Yeah, Phil's got the banana.
You have a prop banana just for playing the game. That is near, people. That's good. Where did you pick that up? Is that an official banana?
It's from LTT store. Not an official plug. Don't sue me. But I got it. I just saw him using it one day, doing like, oh, look at the graphics card. So I picked it up and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
So that is basically it. It's essentially theater of the mind, but you can play with on a gridless space because you're just going banana lengths away, which is always fun. So that's something you really like?
The other big thing, for at least from my perspective, is effort. So weapons are abstracted. If you have a sword or an axe or a great sword or a halberd or a spear, all those things do D6 of damage. They're weapons.
Yeah.
And that, again, some people get frustrated, like, oh, I've got a great sword. It should cause more damage. Like, okay, sure, it can. But also, let's just not worry too much about the numbers and tell a fun story and have excitement rolling the dice and keep things moving, not tabulating, oh, wait, I've got a great sword with +2 bonus here, and I've got disadvantage, and I've got this other thing going on. Like, let's just keep things moving.
That's where the concept of tags really is awesome, because every weapon does D6 damage, but then in Core 2E before Master Edition, tags were how you delineate or differentiated each weapon type or different type of effort. Like you could have a sword does D6, same as a spear, but the spear is long range, thrown. Whereas the sword is this, so you could hit all sorts of people far away or whatnot.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's an interesting system, and also you get to use your D12 if you can do. Because the damage level, the damage or effort levels are all abstracted out, and it goes from a D4 all the way up to a D12, and a D12 is called
Ultimate.
I mean, you get to do
effort.
ultimate effort, which is, I mean, that's just an absolute blast. Unfortunately, I didn't get to roll a D12 at all. So I think
if you roll a nat 20 on your attack or on your attempt, you roll your regular effort attack.
And
so
then
if you're swinging with a sword, you roll a nat 20. You roll your D6 for that sword, and then you get to roll a D12 on top of that for that ultimate effort. And it's super exciting.
We did have that happen in our game, and it was so much fun. I think everybody needs to be able to roll a die that can actually knock someone out if you threw it at them.
And as a GM, like when you get that nat 20 and you roll that ultimate effort, that's when you got to lose your mind for those players.
Because, well, here's the thing. The other cool thing about Runejammer. I want to call it just Runejammer. The cool thing about Index Card RPG is that your health is done by heart system. So, what can you guys describe that a little bit? Because this might get confusing for a couple folks, if people who haven't played Zelda before. That's what I was
going to say. Is Zelda.
Yeah.
So a heart is essentially it's like a container of this much hit points. And I get a shipping box of that much hit points, and I stack it up, and I have four hearts, and that's technically 40 hit points. So then, when you're rolling your bones and you're trying to whittle away at that effort, you could say the door has so many hit points, but it has this much effort requirement of effort to open it. Same with people, you just open them up with stabbing them and stuff, whatever, Everything's a key when you use it the right way.
It's people and doors. They're the same thing. You just open them up in the game. It's fine, which is good. I like one of the cool things, because when I read Master Edition, I could not figure out how you got more hearts, because it's in Master Edition. It is not an automatic advancement thing. It's loot.
Yeah, I think
stone.
that's going to be one grinding point for a lot of people who are used to getting 30 HP every level,
Yeah.
and it's intrinsic to my personality and being. No, it's loot, and everything else you got that's your special ability is loot.
And
Maybe you can go on a quest and like narratively transform your loot into an intrinsic ability.
Yeah.
That's up to you and the GM.
Mhm.
Work that out.
But if your
It's all
loot gets
communication.
stolen, you're back down to 10 hit points, which I thought that was really cool. It's like, oh, wait, they stole my... So now heart containers for adventurers become adventure hooks, because suddenly you're like a target. Like, oh, they're tough. Let's go eat them. I thought
The
that
other
was
aspect,
really cool.
Wes, about hearts though, and the low count of hearts in Index Card RPG is it avoids the tremendous power creep of facing off between 150 hit point players and 400 hit point dragons, and you're just whittling away and chiseling away at these things.
So boring.
Let's focus again on the fun, the narrative. Let's don't have a 17-minute turn per combat encounter.
Yeah.
Let's just focus, and keeps things dangerous. If you know that you're going up against someone who could drop you with one hit, it changes your tactics. And it's not the case that there's no challenge ratings, there's no balanced encounters. You don't try to make sure that the team has an equal chance of winning or losing, all of that stuff. No, you throw them in danger's way and let the party figure it out. That's their problem.
Yep. We have a question from chat, and I already know the answer, but I'll let both of you answer this. So King Eric, the greatest of all, which is, I always say, is one of the funniest YouTube names I've ever had. Hi, King Eric, Your Majesty. He wants to know if Index Card RPG is similar to AD&D rules where gold equaled XP.
Haha. The answer is no. There is no XP.
Too much math. So
No XP.
So how do you advance?
Now there is. Hold on. There
Go
is
ahead.
a page. There's one page in there that says you can use all that gold for something.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily XP. You can use XP. That's boring. You want to go out and buy weapons. You want to go out and build stuff. You want to somehow earn an ability or do something cool with it. You don't want to just be like, well, now I'm level 2. I don't know what a level 2 human does, but I guess that means I got a new job.
There's no formalized XP progression,
Right.
but GMs can reward milestone rewards, which is not uncommon in other systems.
Yeah.
And the players can choose during their milestone to select a new ability or to add a new ability. They could add a new heart if they wanted to. If they wanted to adjudicate that with their GM, they can bump a stat. So if you want more strength or more dex or whatever, you can bump those as well. Or you can take maybe specialized loot and get something really sweet for your character. That again, it's loot. You could lose it. So it's really loot-based progression for most of the games.
Yeah.
And it takes people a long time, some people, a long time to kind of loosen up from that character progression with experience. The flip side of that, kind of what I found the empowering aspect of that is, if I'm tired of swinging with this sword, my fighter can start becoming a magic user tomorrow. I don't have to multi-class. I don't have to throw away all the stuff I've done to get to this point. I can just get something that gives me spells, and I can start playing that way if I want to. So the characters are much more flexible, but again, there's a cost to that because you're not specialized deeply on one thing. Where you're King Eric, the greatest of all time fighter. Sure, great. Awesome. You've really invested deep into that and you want to keep that. But if you want to become the greatest of all time fighter and magic user and thief in other systems, you're going to be a master of none in that way.
Right. And the interesting thing about progression as it exists in Index Card RPG is you're different. They're not, what are they? They're not classes in Index Card RPG. What are they? Are they?
You have types.
Types,
And then those
thank
types, the types have milestone rewards
Right.
and mastery rewards. And then there's also mastery paths.
That's
which
what I was
are
gonna get
another
to.
level of progression as well, where you can, they got fancy names, but it's essentially like I swing sticks, I shoot magic, I do this,
Yes.
I do that, and then you can specialize more in that kind of stuff.
And you can just say, I'm on the path of smoke. And just, build that into your character and suddenly you're Batman. It's fine. But I like that. So and it's not one or the other; it's everything. One of my friends described building a character, or growing a character in index card RPG as a lot like Lego. You just like, I want this loot now, ka-ching, and I'll put that there, and now that's part of my character. And if it's all loot based, how much can you carry?
You can technically have 20 items total, but you can only have 10 equipped.
Right. So if you're using 3 hearts,
yep,
or well, 2 hearts beyond your one that you start with. So if you have 2 heart crystals, you're there, which is fun. Hey, Epic Solo, how are you? Oh yeah, he's between Epic Solo RPG Adventure. If you've not seen his channel, he does solo runs. About to do one with Swords and Wizardry, a short run, and has done a season of Old School Essentials Advanced, which is really kind of cool. But he's down in Florida right now and is dodging storms. Oof. Like literally. So Eric was on a boat and they tried to outrun a thunderstorm with a tornado and succeeded. So
nice.
Yeah, that was fun. Don't do that again.
That Dex roll.
Seriously, he did describe it as the closest he'd ever been to 0 XP or 0 hit points. But that's the cool thing about advancement, is that you can just kind of block in and do whatever you want. But that's for long-term play. We're talking about one-shots for Runejammer. So what are the types of games that you can play with Index Card RPG, and what types of games are being offered in Runejammer that people can get interested in?
So for me, I was originally scheduling all of my sessions to be one-shots. I think there are some people who are doing consecutive sessions that go together. But you can do totally one-shots. You can do multiple sessions. But if you start reading the book, you'll see the genius of it. I think it's genius. Where when I first started learning it, I was like, oh my goodness, I need a 3-step story arc. I need all this crap. I need to figure out how... I need to decompose all these TV shows and figure out how they do it in 30 minutes. No, you play in one session.
Right.
Where am I at? What's my goal? What's standing in front of me? And then go from there. And then based upon player decisions and how they act, then that branches it out and helps you build more of an emergent narrative to get to your goal. It
really is designed for emergent gameplay, is the best way to describe it. Anything to add on that one, Scott?
Yeah, if I understand your question correctly, I think you're asking like, what are the genres?
Yeah, what's being offered in Runejammer?
Yeah, sure. So in the core book, in Master Edition, you get fantasy, sci-fi, Weird West, and like neo Pleistocene, whatever, cavemen type stuff. And supers. I don't do superheroes myself, but I know they're in the book.
They are. It's actually done. It's done pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So I believe it to be the case that we have at least one game of every setting offered.
Okay.
Originally, I don't know that all of them filled up. I haven't looked at which ones. I think a couple of them had to get canceled over the weekend for lack of players. So it might be the case that we didn't run them all, but I'm pretty confident that the vast majority of them were run.
Yep.
And the rules system is the same. Again, in with the abstraction of weapons, with in the sci-fi world, whether you're shooting a laser blaster or a slug thrower or something that shoots out alien tentacles, some weirdo alien device, they all do D10 damage, D10 effort. If you're using a sword or a club or a mace in fantasy or sci-fi, it's going to be D6. And magic is, I always get magic and gun effort
D10,
wrong.
right?
D10. Yeah, I always get those wrong. I have to look them up. I don't have that memorized.
I was playing a priest, so I had magic I could use.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
Which is fun. It's for folks who are really interested, that the riffs that all the different like official settings in the Index Card RPG multiverse are riffing off some really cool stuff. Like for me, I read their one science fiction world, and it's essentially Farscape, because you're running around in a biomechanized ship that doesn't communicate with you directly. Oh, it's Farscape, which I'm totally in on that. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. So it's really cool the way to put it in it. And the way Index Card RPG lends itself, it's that type of high stakes gonzo, which is a lot of fun. We do have a couple questions in chat. First from BGD. Question, what are your favorite adventures outlined in the ICRPG Master Edition or Core 2.0 book? And what do you like about those quests? I'm going to take a nap while you answer that one. that thing. Oh, look at that. That's actually a separate book.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like 90 pages, but I got it printed out so that way I could run it at a local game con.
Okay.
My favorite adventure is probably the first one, just Primary Bias, the Flight of the Last Sword. And
Okay.
then Beneath the Door, Eyes Beneath the Door, the horror setting.
Okay.
That one's pretty cool too.
Nice. And what did you
Last
like
Flight
about
of the
him?
Red.
Let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
What do I like? Oh,
yeah, what'd you like
what do
about
I like
him?
about him? I love sci-fi, and just the idea of a sentient. I can't talk about it. That's my game this evening.
Spoilers.
No spoilers. So you'll have to show up, Chris.
You pulled a River Song. Spoilers.
Yeah.
That's good. Scott, how about you? You can spoil Phillip's adventure. That's fine.
Yeah, Last Flight of the Red Sword is super fun. It's a really engaging. There's a very clear win condition. It's very self-contained. You can drop it into an existing adventure or narrative arc campaign. It's a great kickoff for something to start. I'm running Orvald's Tower, which is my favorite fantasy game from the Adventures collection. It's an adventure that starts at the end. You beat the big bad guy off camera before the scene starts, and then you have to GTFO of his tower. So
Someone came up with an
race.
entire game about that. Like not just an
Nice.
adventure. It's really cool. But I love that idea.
Nice. Yeah. You start at the end, and you have to get out of the tower, go back through your way, and reach the escape. And there's a world timer. You have a certain number of 15 rounds to get it done.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's also in this big book too, Orvald's Tower.
I have too many things to buy now. This is not fair. The other question, so again from King Eric. King Eric's got a couple of questions. He's really good for the in-stream questionings. I'm giving you a shout out, Eric. Thank you. Can the rewards, or going back to advancement, also be given in the form of blessing, like from a divine being or something like that? I would say yes. You guys similar?
I don't see why not. If you're like a priest class or some sort of holy class, I could see that totally being the flavor of the milestone and being like, you're being blessed. Don't disappoint your deity. You may not have it anymore. You know?
Oh yeah, suddenly you go to take that hit and your heartstone has been gone because you tortured the person. Oh, that would be kind of fun actually. King Eric also wanted to know if we remember Star Frontiers from TSR. I will say yes.
Oh yeah.
That's in my wish list. I have not bought it yet. I admittedly only started role playing in 2014 with Rollmaster. Don't ask me why Rollmaster. The guy that picked him just, he liked it. So we started with Rollmaster.
Is that's like seriously crunchy, right? Like the critical hit tables on it? Or?
6 pages of skills and tables, and then 1 page of stats. Yeah, so
they out 3-5'd 3-5. That's kind of fun.
Right.
So that was your first introduction, and you stuck for it. That's awesome.
Yep. For 3 years.
Wow. That's cool. So I've never played Star Frontiers and I never owned it. But I do remember it fondly. It was one of those ones that I missed. I think I picked up Marvel Superheroes instead of it, which is one of my favorite games of all time. One of your players, Nicholas Wolf, said he can't wait for your last flight game tonight. So
Nice.
so he's going to get some.
Too.
He's going to get some extra loot to start the game. And no, Orville's Tower is not made out of popcorn. Is that correct?
It is not made out of
That's
popcorn.
a King Eric comment.
Yes.
And
what's the butter?
Orvold, not Orville.
There you go.
Did I say Orville? I probably said Orville.
Which is the Orville is a really good science fiction show. Up until Strange New Worlds, it was the best Star Trek on television. Lower Decks was second. What is your? So here's another question. I don't know if any of you guys have played 5e, but BGD wants to know, what has your experience been introducing D&D 5e skeptics to ICRPG? Any tips? Have you succeeded in doing that?
It was definitely starting off with the one-shots and then having people be like, oh, this is like D&D, this is like that. This is similar to that. And then be like, yeah, kind of, but not really. It's just a streamlined version of taking all what you perceive as complexity and throwing it out. If you want magic, I can make you a base 16 math system. But magic works by just rolling a cast over it.
Yep. And that's it's when 5e players experience the the simplicity of the roles, but the complexity of what they can do in their brains, I think something gets clicked. And it's, I guess the old cliche is that you're no longer looking at your sheet to see what you can do. You're trying to think with the situation to see what you can do, which is a much different thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's and it's not for everybody. And, you know, some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate, some people like cherry ice creams, right? Like, and that's okay. Like, we're not out for world domination. Index card RPG is very much a DIY thing for people who like that sort of thing. And some people don't. Some people want the safety. You know, they don't want to go to Burger King and have it your way, where you can order every possible combination. They want to have a very limited menu, say, this is what you do. And they get good at that. And that's cool too, right? Like, there's enough room in the world for all of us.
If people are playing games, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Which is absolutely happy. Also, I should point out that not every game as part of Runejammer is playing ICRPG. You have another system that's making cameos. I don't know if there are any of the cameos that are left, but what was the other system that was cameoing in this?
So we did manage to get, I think Scott did this.
No, not me.
It wasn't you? I forget who talked to him. Somebody wrangled DM Scotty from DM's Craft and to run Easy D6. He ran at least one Index Card RPG game, but he really wanted to run his Easy D6 game. And
it's published by Runejammer. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
So.
And he ran. He's one of our special guests. He ran a bunch of games for people. I don't know if he's got any more coming up. I'd have to check the calendar again, but I think his were earlier in the game or the week.
Yeah, and for folks who aren't familiar with Easy D6, if you take less or take even more math out of the game from Index Card RPG, and you get Easy D6. That is my favorite by far one-shot system, because that game's insane, which is so much fun. Oh, BGD wrangled Scotty. Thank you, BGD.
Nice.
Well done. I'm trying to schedule to get Scotty on a stream at some point, because I really like talking with him. And Easy D6 is a lot of fun, but my next one shot is actually going to be a warp shell.
Cool.
So that's going to be fun.
Cool.
And I'm going to riff off of Farscape hard.
Nice.
But we're doing it in October, so a bunch of people wanted to do like horror based. So I'm going to do like Farscape's version of horror, and they got pretty creepy every now and again, so that was kind of fun. And Scotty
Rigel's pretty creepy in general.
The whole thing with Rigel is like do you know the story behind them like interacting with the puppet? Like, because the guy who played...
I don't know that.
Ben Bowder at one point was like, he was so annoyed with the character Rigel that he smacked the puppet on the back of the head. They were like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But they were treating it like a character. And it was like, they finally, it can take it. So if you look, it's like, it was one time in like first season. And from that point on, everybody was interacting with Rigel all the time. Because at first time it was like, no, you can't touch the puppet. The puppet will break. And they're like, oh, no, it's Rigel. Rigel's the character. We're going to break him, which is fun. And then BGD wanted to point out Scotty was super nice and pumped so much energy into Runejammer. We are in his debt. I think Scotty is
Agreed.
If you folks aren't familiar with DM Scotty, go on his web channel. He does a lot of demos of Easy D6. He does a lot of crafting videos. And his Facebook group for Easy D6 is fantastic. He's always on. He's working on Wasted World, which is why I actually want to get Scotty on soon. That's going to be the post-apocalyptic Easy D6, which I think is fun. The
line from Scotty is, I always remember 50% water, 50% glue, and then his little dance doing that.
I did have one question I missed from Eric the Greatest that VGD answered, that I do want us to talk about on stream. I heard that encounters/monsters don't have a CR, which you did point out. How does the GM or DM determine the appropriate level of encounter? And this is one of the innovations of ICRPG that I think is fantastic.
Yeah. Part of it is gut feel for your party, knowing what your party likes. If your party is the kind of party or the players really want to get into a tactical fight, give them that. Figure that out. If the party is super skeptical and hectic, wants to sneak around or look for another way, give them that too. The Index Card RPG book has really good guidelines on how to make a monster. Monsters that just have more hit points are not really more interesting. So a monster with 5 hearts, 50 HP, versus a monster with 10 hearts and 3 attacks, those are wildly different encounters.
Yep.
And so there's value in both. And no one really wants to have the same thing all the time. So spice it up, right? Maybe throw a big tank hit point monster in there and they just got to grind it down or get past it or incapacitate it, something like that. But then, really, if you want to keep people scared and keep the players on their toes, throw a handful of 5, 6, 7 monsters that have 2, 3, 4 attacks that each do something different and interesting. Hank has some pretty good streams on his YouTube channel about monster AI. So you write down a couple of key tactics, and then you roll a d6. That way you don't have to choose. Write down a couple of tactics in advance. This monster has a giant long tail, so it's going to lash out its tail for whip-like damage, and it's going to bite, and maybe it's got a bark. It's a cat that barks. I don't know, whatever. And
the
roll
bark
die,
will stun you, right? That's the idea.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And then if you get a Constitution save to avoid stun, or you can do a Dex save to avoid the attack.
And that's the question: how do you know if you save or not?
So most of the time when you do save, they don't have any of the like fortitude, will, or any of that stuff. It's just straight stat saves. Or in other systems, I've seen skills, but this is just straight stat saves.
But it's not like your character doesn't have a number that you need to beat to make a con save. Like, how's that number determined?
Yeah, normally there's the room or encounter target, and that it will be denoted by a d20, or if you're fancy, you got an index card with the number written down. And then you adjust it for hard rolls +3 or easy rolls -3 to the target number. And the target number is supposed to help set the total difficulty for the entire encounter. So you could have a difficulty counter 10 zombie, and that same zombie at difficulty counter 15 just stepped it up a whole bunch too.
So you can basically set for the party, because it's a public number. It's not hidden. You can be like, this is a high tension zone. Like, it's going to be a target number 13. Look out.
I look at it as you're telegraphing the danger for that encounter. Like, if you see dead bodies everywhere, whatever, let's go. Well, you just went from 12 to 16.
Because you were dumb. So
yeah,
it's like you missed the big swinging blade because you didn't ask if the bodies on the floor had heads. They don't. Duck.
Right.
So that's the fun dynamic gonziness. Go ahead, Scott.
I'll tell you, Wes, the really savvy players in an index card figure out how to attack the target number, not the situation they're playing in.
So it's a little bit of meta, but it's fun.
Figure out what you can do within the environment to lower that target number. Oh, it's we're in the dark in a dungy cave. Let's get some light in here so we can see where they're hiding at. Sweet. Target numbers ratchet down 1 or 2 numbers.
And that changes the whole dynamic of the space, right?
Yeah. We got a bunch of mooks that are being coordinated by a big bad guy off in the corner. It's target 15. Kill that big bad guy first, and all the mooks might be now target 10 because they don't have their boss rallying them and coordinating their efforts. So it not every scenario, not every situation, obviously, but that's been a real unlock for me as a GM and as a player to think about, how can I use the environment? What's happening here that I can make this easier for all of us?
Right.
And that's been a lot of fun.
And because it's not necessarily grid-based, your imagination is really on display at that point, because you don't have to worry about, well, I got to set this thing up over here. And someone did want to know, we'd already talked about it a little bit, but Phillip, you might want to put up your banana quick. Is movement grid similar to D&D, or is it room or area-based similar to PBTA? Neither. I mean, it can be close. It can be anything.
Near, far.
If something is a banana distance away, it's near, right? That's the idea. And then you have far. And so it's that's if you want to play on a board, but it's essentially, it really is well designed for theater of the mind as well, which is cool. And then King Eric, the greatest of all, pointed out for you, Scott, you now have to make this character. I want to see it in a publication somewhere. Your monster is a cog, part dog, part cat. So we need to see that. That'll be I want that on the Discord at some point.
It's also simultaneously your best friend and your worst enemy.
Your worst enemy. And it knocks over Christmas trees and demands that you clean up its poop that it did in the house. It's just one of those things. It's fine.
Perfect.
So that's King Eric is always the one who just sends me off on tangents. So that's basically what I got. Runejammer's going on until Wednesday. And it's Wednesday evening, right? You have time all the way till Wednesday evening. Should be a lot of slots that are filled. And if you are interested in getting it, hop on the Discord. I did not put a link to the Discord, but I did put a link to the Runejammer area
Yeah, if you go to the Runejammer website, it will take you to the ICRPG community Discord, and then from there we can get you pointed in the right directions if you're needing some assistance.
And that link in my description is also where the calendar is. And remember, it is Central Time, so do not get flipped up by that. It will not change for you because Google hates usability, basically. But that's all I got. What do you folks have any last words that you want to say?
I love Index Card RPG just because it's generic enough with enough included setting to tickle my fancy, and it fits in my book bag.
That is true. It's a nice small
stack
thing.
Of dead trees that I got.
Yeah. I just want to say thanks for having us on. Thanks for helping rep Runejammer. This has been a super energizing experience. Just a lot of community outpour. All of the players that I've heard from say this was great. A lot of first-time players for Index Card. It, as you observed at the beginning of this session here, right? It can be hard to start a new game. Mm-hmm. You gotta get on ramped. You got to figure out. Someone's got to step up to be the GM, read the rules, adjudicate all the questions, figure out all the what it says this, but I want to do that. Like, can I?
Yep.
So having a really easy on ramp for people to just play some games and see what it feels like has been a huge success for us, and I'm really glad Phil got this going for us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Todd Lyons says thank you for speaking to us, by the way. So
thank you to the community for making it possible. The energy, the intelligence, the drive, just everybody making it happen.
Yeah, and I want to point out that my GM was the Merrillatron, is how you pronounce his username. Anytime you're getting on to one of these community events, and I'm much more of a naturally introverted character, and I feel weird stepping into other people's space, you're very concerned, like, well, are they really going to be welcoming? Are they going to treat me like I'm an idiot noob? Sure. Opposite experience. Was absolutely fantastic. Hadn't thought about doing pre-gen characters. I had a couple players, or at least one of the players that I brought on and never played, didn't have the book, was actually going to make a pre-gen for me, and I got through and made my own, but he had made a pre-gen for my friend and was so accommodating and awesome. It is a really, really welcoming community for this. So if you're interested in jumping on, you got 3 days to do it. So go ahead and do it. So, all right. You both stay on. I'm going to end the broadcast pretty soon, but please stay on just so I can say thank you. And it was a pleasure to have you on. Please stay in touch. And I forgot. Are you doing this next year?
That's the hope. I think we're doing good enough. We should be doing it next year. I want to see if we can get other people in as well, expand our GM count, and then hopefully reach a much wider audience, because I don't normally do social media. I think I got Mastodon, YouTube, and Discord. That's about it.
Yep.
And we need more mouths, more people spreading it. That's the Index Card. That's the Runejammer way. Word of mouth.
There you go.
Build that shield wall.
Well, I've been pumping it on Blue Sky and Facebook and Mastodon, and my YouTube channel. But yeah, I hope it does play next year, and hopefully I'll be familiar enough with the system that I'll feel comfortable running a game, which would be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Is Sam Merrillatron? He said, "Thank you for playing, Wes. Thank you for having me."
80.
Okay, for that. Listen, thank you, everybody. You guys stay on. I will talk with you soon. I do have, just for updates for all of you, I'm going to go to my main cam. Just for updates for all of you, I do have my fantasy companion for Savage World read. The review is bulleted out. I just have to find time to record it, this is the end of summer, and my wife's a teacher, so she's running around, and it's a fun time for that. And I do have Traveler. I have the 2008 printing, which I think is the first Mongoose Traveler. I have that about 9/10 read. I'm trying to get my brain in it, and that'll be coming up after that, which should be fun. And now I finally get to read Dragonbane, which I've been waiting for a month to crack open that box, which should be good. And I do have some streams coming up. Like I said, I'm trying to get DM Scotty on. You've got an agreement that we're just working on for that. And then also I want to get on the creator of the Unnatural Selection edition for Shadow Dark, which also should be fun. There's a lot going on the channel. Please stick around. If you are interested, you can like, subscribe, you can comment, do all the things. I do have my Patreon going. My goal, I finally set a goal for Patreon, trying to get up to at least $50 a month so I can do like an EV Mux subscription and all that. and back even more Kickstarters and spread the love even more. You guys help me do that, and you keep the videos coming. So if you're interested and able to do that, that would be great. If not, keep liking and subscribing and watching videos. It's really, really helpful. But until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.